So here's a job I found. It's listed as a social media management intern. A manager intern. We're looking for a social media management intern to join our growing team. The ideal applicant possesses a strong knowledge of the digital media landscape. Do you think fresh out of college that you will possess a strong knowledge of the digital media landscape, the entire landscape that is, including various social media websites, different than the digital media landscape? The successful candidate will be responsible for contributing to content creation, monitoring and posting on blogs, so you're a content creator, and social networks, engaging in online forums, participating in online outreach and promotion. So you're doing multiple jobs in one. You're going to be a social media manager. You're also going to do SEO outreach. You're also going to be a content creator. So you're going to create and disseminate all the content yourself. And you're also going to be a community leader. You're going to need to create and foster communities for this company. Keep in mind, this is as an intern. So how many of you can create and foster a community within just a few weeks to a few months? I'm going to say not many, especially not right out of college. It's not looking good. Those looking to gain valuable online media experience with an emerging organization are encouraged to apply. So the tasks, here are the tasks listed that this will be your daily job. And keep in mind, usually when companies say these are your tasks, this is what is most relevant to the job listing. This doesn't mean this is gonna be what you'll be doing the entire time. So tasks are create and implement campaigns. So campaigns is pretty broad. This could be email campaigns, this could be advertising campaigns. That is pretty broad in itself. Develop content calendars on a weekly and monthly basis for the company brand. So you also will be creating content calendars and a content strategy. So you have to develop the strategy and the timeline and then create the content. Monitor analytics with social media team to identify viable ideas. So you'll also be a data analyst. Create engaging blog and social media content that ties back into a content creator. Keep in mind, creating social media content and creating blog content are usually two different jobs you'd have for two different people. Usually there's so much that goes into one thing, especially with having to schedule all this content. If you don't have, typically in most companies, bigger size companies, there will be somebody that manages the strategy and somebody that executes the strategy. With this job, they're asking you to do both, the higher level and lower level tasks, as an intern. You'll also provide support to our marketing team at live and online events. So you're also going to be support at trade shows and probably answering questions whenever they do webinars. Engage with customer and followers. That's sounding like a little bit of sales right there if you're going to be engaging with their customers. So this is a client-facing role. And looking for influencers and brand ambassadors to promote our product and collaborations. You're also going to be scouting for influencers and brand ambassadors to promote our product and collaborations. So this is a lot of jobs tied into one internship. Skills and requirements. This is where we get to the fun part. Bachelor's degree in communications or related field. Required. 2 years of experience in social media and marketing. Required. How many of you are going to come out of college with 2 years of experience in social media and marketing? This is the internship. This is where you get the experience. How do internships ask you to have multiple years of experience? This is supposed to be where you get the experience. This is supposed to be where you get the 2 years. Or leading up to it. 2 years? would be a mid-level marketing role, a junior to mid-level marketing role. This is not an internship. This is why I think that applying for internships is a waste of your time. You might as this with all of these skills, this is an entry-level position. This is not an internship. An in-depth working knowledge of multiple social media platforms, experience with social media analytics, Google Analytics, and Facebook Insights, basic knowledge of Photoshop, Canva, and Hootsuite. Most of these you should already know as a marketer, or you should have built up skills over the years, but coming in as a fresh college grad, you might not necessarily have used a lot of these programs or platforms, so this is where you're supposed to fill in the gaps with your first job or internship. Needing these requirements coming into it defeats that entire purpose. Let's get down to the pay. $0 per hour. Nothing. They pay you nothing. This job requires you to have a bachelor's degree, 2 years of experience, and is essentially asking you to perform multiple functions and multiple roles. And they're going to pay you nothing. You're going to make all this money for this company, and you're going to spend all this time for this company building up their online presence. You're going to create customers for this company and build up a reputation for this company over a few weeks to a few months. And then after that time's over, the company is going to say, bye-bye. Thanks for all your help. Goodbye. You'll make no money. You'll have a few things to put on your resume, but it doesn't really help if the next job you're going to pays you the exact same amount or nothing. This is a sad outlook for marketing grads when the first job you're supposed to be applying for isn't going to pay you enough money to pay the bills. What are some things that you could do instead of working for this job that pays you nothing? Well, with all of these skills, creating and implementing campaigns, developing content strategies, monitoring analytics, and creating engaging blog and social media. You could take all of these skills and package it up and go around to local businesses and offer to do the same thing and set your own price and set your own hours. You don't have to work for this company and do all of these things just to get the experience. You're essentially paying to work for this company because you still have bills. This is your time. You still have to get to work, and oh yeah, they want you to be there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, I'm sure. So you have to work 40 hours a week, but you're not getting paid for it. So instead of taking that 40 hours, why don't you just spend those 40 hours a week packaging up all of these tasks that this company said they're going to do and turn around and try and sell those to local businesses. There's a big need for social media management and blog creation and customer engagement and all of these different tasks that this company is asking for. There's a big need for that within small businesses. And granted, you can charge just a little bit and phrase it as an internship and help out another employer that needs all these tasks but doesn't necessarily have the resources to bring on somebody full time. So you can devote a few hours a week for several different companies and spread it out rather than devoting all your time for this one company that's not even going to pay you. They don't even care enough about you. They do not value your skills enough to pay you. That's what that says about this company. A lot of these job postings and a lot of these employers are trying to do that. So what happens is you get hyped up and look at all these job postings and look at all this opportunity and marketing, and you finally get to the interview, and let's say you get hired and it's totally different than what you're expecting. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. When I was first getting started in my marketing career, one of the first jobs that I had applied to and had gotten an internship for, the job was listed as a sales and marketing position in an office, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Very white collar, very entry-level marketing. The job position and the posting made it seem like this was exactly what I needed. It was an entry-level position with all the skills that I had at the time. So I had applied for the job. I was really, really eager to get this job. I had applied for the job. I had sent multiple emails to the company. Made it seem like I was really interested in getting the job. So finally, I got a call back to show up for an interview. And here's where things started getting a little weird. So I showed up to the interview wearing a suit and tie, very, very office attire. And I get there and I wait around. So I waited for probably half an hour in the lobby because everybody else was busy doing a meeting for about half an hour to 45 minutes while I was just sitting in the lobby waiting. And I thought this was super, super weird and a little bit disrespectful because we were already 45 minutes past. By the time I was done waiting, we were 45 minutes past when the interview was supposed to start. So already they were taking up about an hour of my time. And I was a little agitated there, but I just let it slide. I was really excited about the job. I said, okay, this is probably a one-time thing. Let's not worry about it too much. Just do the interview. So finally, the hiring manager comes out, greets me, and we go back to another office. And at that point, he starts to sit me down, and he brings out a sheet and talks about the path to management and talks about all this money that we're going to be making. And I'm sitting here thinking, these aren't the type of questions that are normal to be asking, right? This isn't what's normal to be asking in an interview, is the path that needs to be taken to management, to being a manager, and the path to making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I wasn't expecting that in an entry-level position. Well, certainly these weren't the questions that I was planning on. I wasn't applying for this job to be any kind of manager or business owner. This is where it gets even weirder. So, concluding the interview, they had talked about a few things about the job and a few tasks that we would be doing at the job. And so they had phrased the position as a sales and marketing. But talking more and more with the hiring manager, it was only sales. There was zero marketing to be had. It turned out this was a door-to-door sales position. Zero marketing involved. I didn't know this was a door-to-door sales position until he had asked me to come back an hour later for the working interview. Guys, if anybody ever asks you to do a working interview, run the other way and never come back. If somebody's asking you to work for several hours unpaid just to see how you'll fit in, run as fast and as far as you can. Me being naive and being my first marketing job and just really trying to get my foot in the door in the industry, I said I would come back for the working interview in an hour. They also told me to bring a change of clothes. Granted, I was wearing a suit jacket, tie, leather shoes, slacks. They asked me to bring a change of clothes into something more comfortable. I did not take those words of advice. Granted, also, I was more than an hour away from home at that point. It would have taken me longer than an hour to get home and get back. I just hung around and waited for that hour to pass in the parking lot instead of going home to grab a change of clothes. I now wish that I had brought that change of clothes. So I came back for the working interview, and this is suddenly where everything changed. So I talked to the hiring manager again, and he tells me, okay, get ready. We're going to go ahead and go grab some lunch with the rest of the team. You're going to get to meet the rest of the team. So I hopped in with this guy. We got in another person's car, not my own car that I drove there with. We got in another person's car, and me and these three other guys one of which being the hiring manager, went down the road to Wendy's, of all places. And they all ordered lunch. And granted, I didn't have any money at this time. I, have some lunches at home. And since they said that we were going to go get some lunch, I had assuming things that they were going to buy my lunch for me. Bad assumption. They all bought lunch, and I sat at the table watching them eat their lunch. Did not get offered any lunch, by the way. During this time, as I was sitting at the table, everybody else was wearing suits at the time. They went into the Wendy's bathroom to go change clothes into cargo shorts and t-shirts and tennis shoes, and came back out, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then we start talking about more of the job specifics and what we were going to be doing that day and what neighborhoods we were going to be going to. Now, granted, they had not told me anything about traveling at this point. They had not told me anything about leaving the office. They had not told me anything about going door to door until this point. Until I was already away from my car and my vehicle, until it was past the point where I could just say no. So they finish eating lunch, we load back up in the car, and we head to this neighborhood miles and miles away from the office. Almost in a totally different city at this point. And two of the guys just drop us off in some random neighborhood and drive away. And this is the middle of summer. All of these guys are wearing shorts and t-shirts. I'm still in my full suit. Leather shoes, tie, jacket. Walking around neighborhoods, knocking on doors, trying to sell AT&T internet and TV packages. I was expected during this working interview to sell some of these customers. Now, granted, I wouldn't get paid for this. It would have been my hiring manager that got paid. But I was supposed to show that I could sell these packages with no training, no job credentials, no way to get paid, nothing. Just to seeing if I could sell it. Now I could see where this was going. I had no way to leave. I had to walk around for 8 hours in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of this neighborhood, knocking on angry people's doors, trying to sell them AT&T packages. We had no bathroom. We had no water. I was walking around in dress shoes for about 6 miles until finally, about 8 hours later, when it was dark outside, the guys with their car had shown back up to pick us up and take us back to the office. Upon which, they proceeded to do one more interview, asking me if I thought that I could fit in with the company. And finally, after all that, they said, and it's really down to the owner of the company's decision whether or not we're going to hire you. So we might reach out to you within a few days. We might not. If you don't hear from us, you didn't get the job. I don't think I wanted that job anyway. Granted, I blocked their number. I wrote an angry post about them on our local subreddit. And I actually had multiple people from the company come out and find that post that I made and verbally attacked me over it. That company did not remain in business for 6 more months. By the end of the year, they were out of business. The owner of the business and everybody else had gone back to working server jobs in restaurants and manual labor. Everybody that I had found. One of the managers of that company, I ran into a couple years later working in a restaurant that I worked at when I first started college. This tells me that I'm glad I didn't take that job. And maybe spending 6 months in that job would have prevented me from moving into another role that sprung my career forward even more. A lot of these companies are looking to take advantage of you any way that they can. They will lie on these job postings. They will lie during the interview. They will lie to you, to your face, and take advantage of you. A lot of these things are one-sided. They get to know everything about you, but you get to know nothing about the job employer and the job itself until you're actually there, weeks and months in, and finally you get to the point where you can't just quit. You can't just say, hey, this isn't for me, I don't know about this anymore, because now you have bills to pay. You have to make money, and sometimes you can't just up and quit and find another job after you've taken one of these crappy jobs. You need money coming in. So you're forced to stay with one of these jobs for weeks or months until you can find something else. And sometimes it just becomes this never-ending cycle where you just land from one crappy job to another. But you don't always know the signs to look out for when it comes to deciphering what is a real job to look for, what's one of these scam listings. Guys, don't get taken advantage of. Don't get taken advantage of. You don't need college to get a marketing job. You don't need a lot of experience to get a marketing job. You don't even need to work for an employer to make money doing marketing. And I hope that I can kind of teach you guys how to do all this, because that's what I've done. I went to college for a little bit in marketing, and I dropped out to work full-time in a marketing job. And then once I had gained enough experience working full-time in a marketing role, I finally quit to start freelancing and getting my own clients. There are upsides and downsides to all of these jobs and roles and paths you can take in marketing. And hopefully in 2021, I'm going to help you guys navigate these muddy, muddy waters, especially with COVID and all these new business owners that are trying to scam you guys into doing free work for them. It's ugly out here. It's really ugly.